Okay.
We're back up.
So after the spectacular failure that was Back to the Future episode 46 last night, we're trying it again on a Thursday night. So sorry, and I really appreciate everyone who stuck with us last night as we were trying the new program. And I will be going back to that, but probably not on this Mac. I'm still kind of looking at, if I want to keep doing this, I just have to get a better machine than what I have right now, because this is like trying to fight a forest fire with a garden hose. It's just not working. As a matter of fact, speaking of not working, there is one thing. Please bear with me for just a second. I need to do here. I forgot that I still had Backblaze going, which is going to suck up quite a bit of bandwidth unless I put it on hold. And it's not letting me go on hold. So I'm going to put this over to the side, and I'm going to say hello to Mr. Warren Sklar. How are you doing tonight, sir?
You caught me off guard. You're like, oh, we're going live. I'm like, wait, I'm on the couch. I'm watching Wheel of Fortune. I'm like, what? All right. Put on some pants, push my head up a little bit. And here I am. So I'm good.
Yeah. So that was so much fun last night.
It was fun. It was fun when you said, well, let's try it without you, meaning me. I'm like, all right, well.
And that worked. That worked.
Okay.
The common factor seems to be
me.
No, Skype. Not so much you.
Skype.
Just Skype is like such a almost said a bad word, resource hog. That, and there's got to be another way to do this. Probably, because I can always try another VoIP service. I know I've tried Discord in the past over on the MyMac show. The problem with that was like really, really horrible lag. Though it can't be any worse than what we've been going through tonight. So
I did audio with when I did the one with the British guy. I can't remember.
Yeah. You were on the
Essential Apple or
it wasn't Essential Apple, or maybe it was.
It
was with Simon. It was with
Simon,
and
but
Mark.
It wasn't. Yeah, but everybody else was sick except for me and Simon, which was strange. But we used a Wire. That's what it is. Something called Wire, and seemed to be okay. I don't know. I had to download it and create an account, but
if you have an account on Wire, we can always try that the next time too, and see if that makes any difference.
Does that do video or is that just audio?
No, it does video too. The biggest problem with using Wire would be that the way I've got OBS set up right here is I've got myself on the left side. You guys can see the screen. Warren is on the right side, and I've basically taken the Skype window that Warren appears in and put it there on the right side from within OBS. So I would have to make a identical scene to the one that we use for Skype, but instead it would be using Wire.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, tech. It's all so very technical, and I don't know if I can quite explain it in layman terms. Yes, lovely.
If it doesn't work, I'll drive to wherever the hell you are, and we'll just sit in the same room. That will work.
Yeah, that would be a hell of a drive every week, because I'm down here in Northern Virginia. Anyway,
not too bad.
How many people? We got 7 people here. Oh my God.
I know. We got Brian. We got Frank. We got Ed.
Ooh, and my cousin Joyce is here. Hi, Joyce.
Mustafa.
That's Lion King. Frank Petrie says, I'm in sync. At least I'm in sync for right now. Discord is good.
Yep.
Haha, yes. You're here. Yeah. Brian Monroe keeps trying to tell me I need to get a TriCaster. Brian, are you going to pay for it? It's basically... It's a hardware video and audio encoder. So instead of having it would basically take I've never used one, but I think it would take most of what I'm trying to do with OBS, and instead of using OBS's encoder for audio and video and the Max encoder for audio and video, the TriCaster basically does that for you. So it lifts a lot of the burden off of the CPU, but it's also not cheap. I mean, I think I would be better off getting a that iMac that I've been talking about.
Pro. Yeah, do that.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know did we talk about this last week? The iMac Pro? Here in Northern Virginia, there's an electronics store. It's a chain called Micro Center. I don't know if there's any in your area.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, they also ship. They'll ship anywhere, I think. Where some of the places they'll ship.
Well, they're selling iMac Pros for $4,000.
Yep.
$1,000 off.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter because that's still like $2,000 to $3,000 more than I can spend right now.
I don't know how they make money off. I can't figure out how they're making money out of that. So
I don't know. But
Game Challenge.
We have some stuff to talk about tonight.
Excellent.
Some of this is like lifted directly from the Mac to the Future Facebook page, stuff that I've posted, stuff that other people have posted. Some of it is just the continuing saga of analysts that just royally piss me the hell off. But this first one is actually kind of a combination of that. I posted it on Facebook, and it's an analyst that really pisses me off. This guy named Jim Edwards, who is he does something with Goldman Sachs, which is a big investment bank. And he's claiming that, at least through his company, that the iPhone 10 super cycle, that's what they keep calling it every time Apple comes out with a new phone, it has pretty much ended. That people are no longer, there's no longer new people coming in and buying iPhones. There's no longer people with existing iPhones that are rushing out to get new ones as soon as they come out. And eventually you do hit that saturation point. I don't think we're there yet. I think there's still lots of people that Apple can market an iPhone to. But he's got this thing where he's saying, now this is a direct quote, and I have to use a voice for this. We balance our positive view on longer-term iPhone revenue growth with weakening near-term data points on iPhone 10 demand, which we think will likely weigh on shares ahead of the FQ2 earnings report, which is basically a real fancy way of saying I have no idea what he's talking about. Saying that and here's the thing about these ridiculous analysts, is that they come out and they say these things and it becomes like self-fulfilling prophecies, because the people that are involved in investing in the stock market and all the rest of it read this garbage and go, oh crap, I'm gonna sell my Apple shares, or I'm gonna sell my whatever shares of whatever company is that they're talking about. And anytime any of these companies' shares flood the market, of course, the value of them are going to drop. And then they can sit there and go, oh, see, I told you that the prices of these shares were going to drop. And then they can pat themselves on the back. But with Apple, they take it almost to a new level. And this happens at the end of almost every single quarter, just before Apple's getting ready to come out with their quarterly results. They'll come out and they'll talk about how, this part of the supply chain, our people from within the supply chain are saying that Apple is going to cut production on the iPhone 10. And, having nothing to do with, well, don't they do that every year after Christmas once the holiday season is done? And the initial supply of, everyone that's going to buy a phone on day one now has a phone. And now they're making phones for the people that, from within the yearly cycle that want to buy a phone can have one. So it's like just so much crap. Now this same guy also predicts that percentage of now how do you even figure something like this out? This guy is saying that the percentage of iPhone users upgrading their phone will decline to 35% in fiscal 2018 and then 33% in fiscal 2019 from 36% in fiscal 2017. What? Really? This, how do you even justify saying something as crazy as this with absolutely no data other than, oh, well, a few less people bought iPhones in the first quarter of 2018. Well, maybe, this is just off the top of my head. Maybe all the people that might have bought an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus were waiting to see what the 10 was going to look like more than halfway through the quarter. And then once the 10 came out, they changed their minds and either bought a 10 or they bought an 8. This isn't rocket science. Speaking of which, congratulations to Elon Musk and SpaceX for the big rocket that they put out. Now we have a Tesla floating in orbit. Have you seen the pictures of that?
I did. We could claim we're the only planet in the universe that has a Tesla in orbit. Yeah, it's cool. I've been actually getting interested in it a little bit more. He's really crazy.
Yeah, he's kind of a wackadoo.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, now the way I understand it, I know we're going completely off topic here, but I'm already so pissed off about Goldman Sachs. And there's one other thing about this story that I'll talk about in a minute. But as far as the space goes, and the rush to put stuff up into the low Earth and higher Earth orbit and going to other planets and all the rest of that, it has been the exclusive domain of a limited number of governments for a really, really long time. Right. And the way to move forward on something like this that is just so expensive is you have to get private industry involved so that, right, they're looking at, well, what can we do to get out to, say, the asteroid belt where there's like tons and tons and tons of all this raw material that they can bring back if they can just get to it. And, they're looking for, and of course also big government contracts for putting up satellites, government contracts for, say, putting a permanent habitat on the moon or Mars or any place along those lines. So yeah, I'm looking forward to, what are some of the other ones? You got SpaceX. Can't remember. Oh, let's see. I'll get to Brian Monroe's comment in a minute. Yeah, but you've got to get private industry involved in order to move it forward.
So, did Musk have to get permission from some government to at least launch a rocket and put a car in space? How does that work? Who owns? There's got to be.
Well, it launched from Cape Canaveral, so that's a NASA facility. The thing is, right, and what they were kind of worried about was this was the first flight of the what they call the Falcon Heavy. The previous and when they say Falcon Heavy, it's basically the same as the regular Falcon, but they shoved 2 more engines on either side of this thing, right, so it can really lift a lot of stuff. And because this was the first time that they'd actually tried to put the Falcon Heavy up, other than just testing rockets, one of the things that they were afraid of was that it was just going to blow up on the pad. Now, there's a lot of fuel inside of one of these rockets, and when they blow up on the pad, it tends to be rather spectacular. Even more so when you have a rocket as big as the Falcon Heavy, it's the largest rocket since the Saturn V, which they stopped putting up in I think the last Saturn V was used for Skylab back in the early 70s. Mm. So, but the problem is when these things explode, it's not just a question of, all the money that was spent on creating the rocket and the fuel and everything else. It's also all the damage that happens to the pad that the rocket is on. So if this rocket had exploded on the pad in Cape Canaveral, it would have been a long time before anybody could have used that pad again. And that was one of the pads that was originally, I think it was originally created to be used with like the Saturn V and some of the larger rockets.
Right. So I get the pad is a government, the launch site belongs to NASA, which is the U.S. government, more or less.
Yeah.
But when he launches something and he had the idea that he wants to put a car in space,
yeah,
he probably needed to talk to somebody in the government saying, "Can I do that?" Because
they needed something to put into the capsule. And it was just going to be a dummy load, no matter what it was, no matter what it was going to be.
Right, but I'm talking about
putting a car in space.
Well, there's got to be smarter people than him out there that would know if there's any danger of doing that to Earth. Who knows? I don't know. Like people were saying it's going to fall. Could have fallen to Earth.
What would be the worst that could happen?
I guess it could get out the gravity and fall back to Earth and land on somebody, I guess. But who knows?
Yeah, it could, but 99.9% of it would burn up on reentry. I mean, it's mostly light metals and plastics. So
yeah. And then I saw another thing where it's starting to get busy up there with junk.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of crap up there.
I mean, there's crap, and they didn't really say it, but they kind of started saying that things that happen in the movie Gravity, where they're working on stuff, and all of a sudden crap is eating up at their space station, could start to happen if there's enough crap up there. So there's got to be there's got to be a monitoring agencies looking at all this stuff. If I had $1 billion, like if I won a lottery or something like that and won the 500 million and decided to launch something in space, I would imagine I would have to tell somebody.
Probably.
That I'm doing that.
They might be a little upset. Let's see, there seems to be a rocket ship rising from northern Pennsylvania. What's going on there?
Right. So I'm assuming he's working with the government or something like that. So,
and honestly, cool. there is actually literally crap floating around in space.
Yeah, there is.
They got astronaut crap bags flying around.
It's not.
How did we get started on this?
I don't know. You congratulated Elon Musk.
Oh, that's right. So it's blame it on me. Yeah, go ahead, Warren.
Yeah.
So it's all my fault. I see. Yeah.
So I didn't bring it up.
Well, what do we got over here in the chats?
People are talking about rockets and Goldman Sachs. So,
okay. Well, Brian Monroe wants me to shake my angry fist at Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs. That's what I just did. And they're clueless analysts. And they're all clueless, Brian. Every single one of them. And if they're not clueless, they're saying these things to basically manipulate the market. So, what are you going to do?
What do they know? That's what I say.
What do they know? The last thing about Goldman Sachs, before we move on to another topic, right after I put that post in the Mac to the Future Facebook group, which any of you people that don't belong to the Mac to the Future Facebook group, you really need to apply, assuming that you're like an Apple or Mac user. It's a really great group.
If you don't like Apple, and you join, you could still join, but
you won't be there long because we'll find you.
We'll have some fun with you.
And then you will die.
Then you won't like it anymore.
Now we also have, once again, I don't know if it's going to work. The Zeno Live thing is going, so you can try to call the 701-801-4367 number and then dial 5. And I don't know if it's going to work. We can try it anyway. So, but the last thing, and all the information is up there on the screen. The just after I put that thing in Mac to the Future about Goldman Sachs and this whole stupid article, I learned that, and this is an interesting coincidence, Goldman Sachs is now also in talks with Apple to finance iPhone purchases for people that can't afford to buy them straight out. Isn't that an amazing coincidence, Warren? That just as they're talking about, oh no, Apple's in big trouble. Yeah, big trouble. Oh, but you can lease, or not lease, but subsidize a phone using our bank.
I didn't even think Goldman Sachs was a bank. I thought they were more like an investment.
Yeah, they are. But I mean, it's like an investment bank thing.
Apple uses they have a company, as far as I know, that does most of their when you finance a phone, they have a company already that does it. And as far as I know, they don't charge interest on that device.
Well, we have a call. Hold on a second.
Let's see if I can find it.
Let's see if we can make this happen here. Whoops. Hello?
Apple.
Mystery caller, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hi.
Hey, Brian?
Hey, yes, it's Brian, yes.
Holy crap, I can't believe it.
I know, it's amazing it works. Hey, Warren.
It's Barclay is what it is. Hey, Brian. Yeah, so...
yes.
Yeah, Apple
so
uses
you're right. Apple
Barclay
does have a mystery company. I think they were in the First One Capital, I think, wasn't there, something like that?
For First Capital?
Barclay now. They use a Barclay Visa card, I think.
Well, that's a UK bank, isn't it? Barclay?
Yeah, but it's not.
Or is it all international? It's all international.
I guess it's international.
Where's my tinfoil hat?
While ahead. Yeah. So when you lease a phone through them, that's who you're doing it. So I don't know if they need anybody else to do it, especially because you're not. I don't know how they make money on it because it's interest free, but who knows?
Frank Petrie says, lease an iPhone and get a Tesla free. I wish it was that easy.
If the rumors are true, maybe that will happen anyways if Apple does buy Tesla. You know, that's one of the rumors, right? You know?
Well, I can't see Apple buying a car. You know, the whole what was it? Was 2016 the year of everyone talking about an Apple car? Isn't that pretty much done? You notice nobody talks about Apple cars anymore.
Well, they are. Few people are, but not.
Yeah, they talked about it today. There was an article out again, or yesterday, about them talking about it.
I just saw one of the Apple mapping vans or whatever car that the other day driving on the street here anyway. So,
what are they using for that, Brian?
They got like the roof rack thing on sort of on top of these white.
Well, no, I mean what kind of car was it?
I think it was a Lexus, I think, anyways, wasn't it? I think. SUV?
Well, of course, Brian, it was a Lexus. That's not the kind of a car that Apple would use. Would be a Lexus,
right?
That's what Google uses actually too.
I want to answer to Frank real quick here. Basically, Apple, the Tesla, apparently, my understanding, the battery technology or the Gigafactory is that not there, is my understanding. It's actually their, I think Panasonic, I believe, anyways, is the company that they're that's putting the stuff in their factory. So, you know, and the fact is also Apple doesn't buy verticals like that. They don't. If Apple was going to be building the iPhone themselves, it would be, but they aren't. They go to like in China, basically. Can't name the company right now. Stuck, but they do have other people making the phones for them and all the parts, right? You know,
you're talking about Foxconn.
Foxconn, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Foxconn. I mean, same thing. The HomePods and Apple, all the stuff they make, right? It's not them making it. So there's the idea that they would actually get into the business of, you know, insanely complex business, a low margin area of that stuff. I mean, I understand them doing the music stuff is it's to go make other things happen. It's not actually about the verticals, right? So Apple Music, that is the reason why they're doing that, is to get people to go out and buy more Apple hardware. That's the point.
Right.
Car is a pretty big piece of hardware.
Right. No, they're going to put electronics in these cars that are going to be kind of built around Apple technology,
right.
But the car itself is not going to be.
But they would go to a contract manufacturer, is my point, to actually make the cars. They're actually not going to build the cars themselves. That's what I'm betting on.
I think they're going to actually partner with a car. I think they'll probably partner with a car company like BMW or Lexus.
We have no idea.
No, we don't.
There has actually been, compared to 2016, there has been very, very little information. As a matter of, it almost feels like they've lost interest in creating the whole widget, and they're now concentrating on, well, what is it that we can add to cars, kind of like with CarPlay, that is going to enhance the experience for someone else. And we basically create this technology, give it to the car companies, and say you can make with it what you will. It wasn't that long ago that when both Google and Apple went into into car electronics, for lack of a better term, nobody was really interested in talking to either one of the companies. And in Apple's case, it was more along the lines of, well, we've seen what happens when Apple gets into a market. They kind of end up taking it over. So if they were reluctant to do that because car electronics, especially when you're talking about music and stereos and all the rest of that, that's a huge add-on and generates a lot of money for these car companies. And I think for the most part, they were worried that Apple was going to come out with the hardware and say, okay, here is our CarPlay unit that you can put into your cars, and you have to use this or you can't use CarPlay. And that's not what ended up happening. CarPlay and what's Google's? Android Auto, something like that?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. It all ended up being software. And so you have...
It sits on top of QNX, I believe, anyways, which is interesting.
Yeah. And in a lot of cases, it's the same hardware. Kind of like almost like what it is with phones, where the hardware between an Android phone and an iPhone, other than the processor, isn't really that much different. And even with the processor, it's just variations on a theme as far as ARM processors go.
I think they made CarPlay more like a mirroring device than anything, and I think that's what went right with it. I think initially they were just toying with the idea of putting pretty much like a screenless iOS device in your car, but it's not really like that. It kind of extends your phone to it. So it mirrors a lot of the functions out, which is brilliant.
Just like the Apple Watch does with the iPhone, in essence, right?
Well, we have stories about the Apple Watch and a couple other things to come up. Actually, Brian, we're going to take a little break, so we're gonna say goodbye. Thank you so very much for being our Xeno Live kind of guinea pig each and every time. And people, the number is right there on the screen. It's right there. You can just call it yourself. Get online with us. Don't make Brian do this all the time. It's not right. It's not fair.
Yeah, Frank, call in.
Yeah, he does. He really does. If I ever end up getting a computer that can handle it, maybe at some point we can get all three of us on screen at the same time. I don't know. Anyway, everyone, we are going to take a little break here. Oh, and there's a dog. Oh, so adorable.
I got to let him out. He wants out.
Okay, well, all right. Well, Brian, we're going to say goodbye, and we're all going to take a little break. So, everyone.
Okay.
Let's see. And here's an ad. We'll be right back. Are you a new Mac user or an old hand? Wish you could know the ins and outs, keyboard shortcuts, or hidden tips and tricks to make you more efficient using your favorite computer? Hey, it's your lucky day, because Edward Eisen has written a great guide to knowing more about the Mac and the OS that it runs on. It's called This is the Light Side, and it's available through Apple's iBookstore or with Amazon. Better yet, it's not a stuffy old book that gathers dust on the shelf once the next operating system is released, because it's an ebook that you can look at any time you want. It won't get outdated because it's continuously being updated. information on setting up your new Mac, installing and getting rid of applications, security settings and what to look out for, keyboard shortcuts, some basic app recommendations, how to use Windows on your Mac, if you really want to, that is, advanced topics, searching, using iCloud, and much more. All this for a mere 99 cents. Go to the iBookstore or Amazon and check out Edward Eisen's This is the Light Side. It's the book you want on your virtual shelf. Okay, we are back and we are live. The dog is outside, so he's happy.
Yep.
Warren is back in his seat. Frank wants Brian's autograph, so all is right with the world. Anyway, I feel so silly tonight. Apple Watch. Now we just had, and we're not going to get like super into it. Apple just had their first quarter for fiscal year 2018 financial report, and surprise, surprise, one of the high spots of the report was that for a market that everyone said Apple had no chance in, they're basically it's basically the Apple Watch market, and then there's everybody else. So they sold over 18 million Apple Watches in fiscal year 2017, which represents a 54% growth over the previous year. And they sold 8 million alone in quarter four of the last fiscal year, with more than half being the Series 3, which is the more expensive one. This is more smart watches than any manufacturer has ever sold in a single quarter. And it actually could have been better, but it had limited availability in Europe, and that may have reduced the number of watches that were sold. Now, do you have one? Yeah,
I do.
Mine is actually on my charger right now.
So I've had them all. I've had a Series 0, 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if there was 4 or 3, but anyways, I've had them.
Well, I've got this Series 2.
You have the 2. I have a 3 now, but I had every model up until that point. So,
what made you get like every single model? You just
I did that with all. I did that with all. Pretty much everything. I sell the last one, and I get a new MacBooks every year, and I just do that. But
it sounds like that's kind of what I need to do here. I need to sell this beast of a machine that I have here.
You gotta get good at it. There's like timings of it. You gotta sell pretty close to when the new, before the new one comes out or around it, because you could still get money for that.
Well, who knows when the next Mac Pro is going to come out?
Yeah, but I mean, so back to the watch. I could tell you that the Series 3 is great. It's fast. Your Series 2 is good.
Yeah.
Series 0 is kind of not so great.
Yeah, they don't really sell the 1 anymore, do they?
They don't sell the 2 anymore.
No, really?
They don't sell the. Yeah, it's hard to find a 2. The 1 they sell and the 3 they sell. Believe it or not, they kind of did the same. Oh yeah, I know.
Okay,
but that's it. But
but the Apple Watch has been a big success for Apple.
Yeah, but you got to remember
who would have guessed that?
Places were kind of giving them away right before or around when the 3 came out. The 1 and 2 were really cheap, and Target was selling them for cheap, and Best Buy was selling them for cheap, and that's the way to do it. I mean, that's not a bad thing. They were saturating people to buy something, who didn't want to spend all the money on the 3. People were buying the 1s and the 2s, and then got them hooked on it, and the 3 was selling pretty good too. So that contributed to that, and that's a good thing, and so a lot more people are having it. And it's basically, Apple finally kind of went in the direction they wanted to go to. They made it more of a fitness device than anything, and that's what that's kind of their thing, and people like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. I like
All right.
it.
Next up, Apple is allowing third-party payments for the first time in history for to be able to, an outside payment service for Apple devices. Now, we're not talking about credit cards or anything like that. This is an online company that will allow you to make purchases of Apple equipment. And it's the Chinese company Alipay. And they're going to be able to make payments for Apple devices both in-store and online, even though Apple Pay is a direct competitor to Alipay. Now, Apple has also made other moves in China, and they're planning on opening up a second data center. So, what do you think the reasoning could be behind them allowing Alipay? You think it could have just been like some behind-the-scenes finagling from?
I think isn't Ali something their biggest online? That's like their Amazon. So
yeah.
Is that the same AliExpress? That's what there's something called AliExpress, and I think it's their Amazon version. So I don't know if they're affiliated with that payment.
I'm not sure,
but who knows? If it is, and if that's their Amazon, and if it's affiliated, and a lot of Chinese people have that as their wallet per se, then that might be the reason. And then, like, just to say, if something else became really big here, like I know some of these credit cards have things now where you did touchless credit
you had
cards.
the whole currency thing that just
that failed.
It's spectacularly.
But they're not going to do the Google Pay or the Android Pay. But I think if something that didn't directly compete, and you're saying the Alipay does, but
it does, but China, just from sheer numbers alone, is kind of a special case where a lot of companies, I think, are making special concessions to China just because the market is so huge.
Right, but if they're gonna if it's that popular there and people are using it and they want to pay that way, then Apple's gonna say, "Hey,
they're getting money."
Yeah, we'll take your money.
And
we don't care.
And Apple Services has been growing, not exponentially, but certainly at a pretty steady rate for a number of years now. It's like the company's second biggest revenue stream is Apple Services, which is iTunes, Apple Pay, Apple Music, all these things that tie into the Apple ecosphere is making Apple a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of things that tie in, this is our last topic for the evening. Consumer Reports says not nice things about Samsung and Roku. This has to do with smart TVs. So Consumer Reports, as part of a broad privacy and security evaluation, has found that millions of smart TVs are vulnerable to hackers and raise privacy concerns by collecting very detailed information on their users. Now, according to the report, the problem affects Samsung TVs Plus models made by, and I've seen this at, I think, Target, a TV company called TCL, and other brands that use the Roku TV smart TV platform as kind of an add-in to their TV sets, as well as Roku's popular streaming devices. They said that they had found that a relatively unsophisticated hacker could change channels, play offensive content, crank up the volume, which may be deeply unsettling to someone who didn't understand what was happening. This could be done over the web or from thousands of miles away. Now, they also said that the good news is that these TV security vulnerabilities apparently won't allow hackers to spy on you or steal your information. Samsung has said it would update its APIs as soon as technically feasible. Roku says that Consumer Reports got it wrong. Wrong, says Roku, and that its users face no security risks. Roku enables third-party developers to create remote control applications that consumers can use to control their Roku products. Gary Ellison, Vice President of Trust Engineering at Roku, wrote in a blog post, "This is achieved through the use of an open interface that Roku designed and published. There is no security risk to our customers' accounts on the Roku platform with the use of this API. In addition, consumers, I love this, can turn off this feature on their Roku player or Roku TV by simply going to Settings, System, Advanced System Settings, External Control, Disabled." So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Absolutely no problem to find any of that. Consumer Reports noted that consumers can limit the data collection from their TVs, but they have to give up a lot of the TV's functionality. Shocker! And know the right buttons to click and settings to look for. OMG.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, first of all, Consumer Reports, come on. Like, I'm not going to trust them with the security article. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but they're probably wrong. And Roku, I probably trust them a little bit more than Consumer Reports. It's the same thing that I say in a group all the time. Is, when people post these articles about how Macs could get hacked by this vulnerability, it's always the same thing. It's like, the researchers discovered a security flaw in Mac OS X,
right,
and where a potential hacker could maybe go through. I mean, it gets to the thing where, like, there's, it's people in white lab coats trying to figure out. That's what this article sounds like, from even worse Consumer Reports. It doesn't sound like.
Typically, it means if you put your left foot in and then take your left foot out and put your left foot in and shake it all about, there could be a security vulnerability.
Right. I'm not, I think I have a Samsung TV. I can't.
I got away from Samsung because I had one that was such a clunker that it kind of turned me off to the whole brand. Right now we have 2 Vizios, and I'm pretty happy with those.
Listen, it's a smart TV. Roku is a smart device. It connects anything that connects to the internet at this point.
There is a risk.
Anything that connects to the internet, there's going to be an article from somebody saying that a researcher discovered something that possibly something happened to it. So I wouldn't start throwing out your Roku boxes and your Samsung TVs yet.
Yeah. Frank Petrie says he becomes very wary when he hears technology companies use the word control.
Yeah, well, yeah. I get a little nervous when I hear Consumer Reports say they know anything about anything. So, they had that whole issue with the first generation of the new generation of the MacBook Pro, where they
you talking about with the Touch Bar?
It was, it was just some Touch Bar or not. They said they couldn't recommend it because battery life was bad.
Oh, okay.
And then Apple went through this whole thing with them and say, no, you're using it wrong. Come look. This is how you use a computer. Oh, yeah, this is a keyboard and this is a screen, and that's pretty much how they talk to Consumer Reports. And of course, they probably paid them off, and 2 weeks later they said, okay, we'll recommend it. It's all good. So
in the meantime, they've already got their headlines.
Yeah, Consumer Reports used to be relevant. Yeah, I mean, when it was in print and there was nothing else, because there was nothing else.
Right.
Before the internet, there was nothing else to compare things to. Now, we have each other, more or less.
Yeah.
Where we could,
There's a reason why print is dead or near dead.
Yeah, but I mean, even their online system, they want to charge for their online access, and again, there's enough reviews out there from people and other sources that are better. So,
okay,
I wouldn't, I'm sure they get some things right, but I wouldn't put too much stock in them, to be honest
All
with
right.
you.
Well, that is basically all we have for this evening, Warren.
That's it?
There's
no more?
4 big stories. Once again, if you are a Apple or Mac user, please go on over and join the Mac to the Future Facebook group. We have a great bunch of guys there and gals.
And girls.
Guys, it was meant as like non-gender specific. So, don't shoot me.
People in peace.
People. Yeah, we have lots of great
We have people. Come, we have people.
people. I can't stop saying people.
There's humans here.
Humans. Now I got songs running through my head, so I'm going to end this. Warren, how can people get a hold of you? I'm guessing they can find out all kinds of stuff about you through your Roku, Samsung TV, and your Mac to the Future Facebook presence.
Right. Yeah. If they want to watch me, just connect to my Samsung, and you can take a look at what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. That's probably where I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, is that it?
No, that's it. Yeah.
All right. You can reach me. You can send. Nobody's done it, but you can send me an email to Guy, I think, at mttfgo.com. I am also Mac Parrot over there on the Twitters. We have a Skype telephone number that you can call, which is 703-436-9501. You can also find me in my regular podcasting gig over there at mymac.com, where I do the mymac.com podcast with Gazmaz. We are getting real close to our 700th episode. Not together, but 700th overall My Mac podcast episode. I think we're up to 694, something like that. It's way up there. Also, before we go, a quick reminder, coming up in July is the MacStock Conference and Expo, and if you would like to see myself and Tim Robertson, who is the owner of the whole mymac.com site and everything that goes along with it, and a whole bunch of other podcasters that I'm sure you've all heard of, we're all going to join up in Woodstock, Illinois for MacStock 2018, which will be the fourth one. That's going to be July 21st and 22nd. It's just outside of Chicago. Lots of ways to get there. You can fly, you can take a bus, you can take a train, you can do whatever it is you want to do to get there. It's going to be a really, really good time. I have enjoyed it so very much over the last 3 years, and I'm anticipating that this year is going to be a great time too. Warren, are you looking to come this year?
I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, so I got to figure it out. So.
Well, I'm gonna have my big huge podcasting travel kit that is much larger than I thought it was going to be when I first envisioned it. We'll be doing live podcasting while we're there. There's going to be the My Mac game show that Tim and I did last year. We're doing that again this year. There's the Midwest Mac Mingle on Saturday night. They had a live band last year for the party. It was so much fun. So if you can be there just outside of Chicago, Woodstock, Illinois, July 21st and 22nd, you can find out more information. MacStock, I think it's MacStockExpo.com. I'm going to take a quick look. I should have already had this down. MacStockExpo.com. And let's see what comes up here. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Wah, 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 wah. Well, that will basically get you to MacStock Conference and Expo.com. So if you type in MacStockExpo.com, you'll get there too. So I think that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you all for joining us. So sorry about last night. I know things got more than a little weird. We really, really do appreciate it. Thanks again. And Warren, you're going to be here next week?
I just said I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but I should be around.
Okay. So say goodnight, Warren.
Good night, Warren.
Good night, everybody.
Oh wait, no, still crashed. Oh wait, it's back up.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the second time tonight that crashed.
Yeah, but it crashed at the end of the show. It knew.
So I don't know how that's going to affect the I don't even want to think about what that's going to look like recorded. I may not even mess with the recording tonight.
That's all right.
I got to tell you guys, I am just exhausted, emotionally and physically drained with all this stupid crap going. I was telling Warren about this. My insurance company looks like they're trying to get out of paying for having these implants put in for the 2 molars that I had taken out. Delta Dental is the name of the company. Anybody who has Delta Dental, you might want to start looking for another company in case you got some major stuff going that's coming up anytime soon. So they would pay for one. They would pay for 1 implant, but they won't pay for 2. But because I need 2, they won't pay for anything. So I'm basically looking at like $5,400 out of pocket if I can't get them to do something.
Yeah, it might be time to go with no teeth and just get the iMac.
I would certainly. Because these have been out now for 6 months. No, not that long. 3 or 4 months. I think it was September or October when the dentist pulled them. And it changes the way that I eat, and it kind of changes the way that I talk a little bit. But I've gotten used to it. But I would still much rather have something there than not. So.
Yeah, I'm in the same. I mean, my teeth are pretty crappy, actually. So,
well, I mean, I was a child of the 60s when they were doing amalgam fillings, and I was a huge candy eater, so I had all kinds of cavities. And that's basically what happened. I had 2. The 2 back molars here in the bottom right had like really, really deep cavities at one point that were filled a long time ago. And then it basically, I think the filling came out, and then the 1 molar broke, and for whatever reason, it took the other one with it. I actually had a crown on one of them, and when the 1 molar broke, it like tore the crown off and left like nothing to reattach it to. I mean, it was...
My dad,
not fun.
My dad had.
Hey, David Ginsburg just joined us.
So
missed it. We were talking about Mac stock. You should have been there.
My dad has bad teeth, and he had the local, not the local, but the New York University College work on his teeth once because to save money. That's a thing. You could do that and
go to like a dental college,
like a dental school. Don't do it. It wasn't good.
No, I can't imagine it would be.
No.
This is our freshman class project is your father's teeth.
Pretty much, and they failed. They failed that project. So he had to redo everything. So
what did they pay for that?
No, God, no. It was like 20 years later when okay. half all his teeth were like falling out. Or like, yeah, they're falling out because they put glue on your teeth instead of fillings, and that's why they're falling apart. So,
okay,
Elmer's they used Elmer's glue, I think. So.
Yeah, I'm going to insist they use like Gorilla Glue for me.
Yeah, you need something a little stronger.
Yeah, shackling. What's that stuff called? That you drywall paste. That's what I want them to use.
Spackling.
Yeah, just get like that big the spreader thing that they use to, and just coat it all around.
Just you don't need teeth. They're overrated. Ice cream is really good.
Ice cream is really good. Just eat lots of soft foods.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. I think that is going to do it for tonight. Warren, thanks a lot.
No problem. I'll talk to you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Let's see here. Who's left? Who do we got left? We got Frank and Brian and David. Yeah, I'm trying to get a new iMac. It's a 2017 iMac, 8 gig card, 3.8 gig i5, something like that. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night, guys. I am tired. I'll work on the edited version of the show and get it up sometime this weekend. I'm just too tired. I'm just too tired right now, and I need a break. I need such a break.